Hi, everybody. Welcome to our first podcast. This is Salukis and PR. I'm Mary D. Hayes. I'm your host. Today I'm here with three of my other fellow PRSSA members, and I'm very excited for us to all talk about PR and why it matters to us. So if everyone wants to go ahead and go around and introduce themselves.
I'm Steven. I'm from Oak Park, Illinois. I'm a junior, and my major is communications, public relations with a minor in marketing.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm Bloom. I'm from St. Louis, and my major is communications with a specialization in public relations.
It's a mouthful, I understand.
My name's Hailey. I'm also from St. Louis. I'm a freshman, and I'm technically undecided, but I want to do public relations.
Awesome. We're so excited to have everyone here today with us for our full episode. And we're very excited to go ahead and get started talking about just PR and what it means and why it matters to everybody. What are you guys' thoughts? What did you originally think about PR and how do you feel about it?
I didn't really, I knew just a little bit about PR, but now I've realized that it's like everyday life, especially when it comes to companies, them building up their image and reputation and being able to maintain their image and reputation as well. So like other customers would like to come to them.
Definitely, yeah. There's a lot to do with reputation of image and also crisis management, which I think almost all companies have to deal with at one point or another, whether or not they have a communications specialist or a PR specialist at hand. It definitely can be a lot easier if they do because, you know, if something hits the fan or there's a fire or a bunch of layoffs, they have to deal with that very carefully. So it's kind of interesting to see how important our role in our career is in all these different industries. So
Yeah. What got me interested in PR was I would watch like these YouTube like video essays and people would talk about like different businesses and like different controversies that like the businesses have had and stuff.
Mhm.
And I remember like they would mention like, oh, then they mentioned this statement and this was, and I remember being like very interested and being on that side of like business of like, oh, okay, like I can use the knowledge of what I know about social justice and pop culture overall and kind of like try to sway the public to think something differently of a brand.
absolutely, that's a good answer.
I'm still like learning about PR. I know like the very basics. It's like making sure that companies have a good reputation. And yeah, I got into it because I like helped run a social media account at my high school. And so that was fun. And I was like,
Awesome.
why not continue it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think social media is a big part of PR. I've been learning even more now about how important social media is. Recently, some of us were able to go to the international conference, PRSSA's international conference, held in Nashville, Tennessee, at the Opryland Hotel and Convention Center. That was a super amazing opportunity. Steven here, he was also on the trip with me, and we learned a lot about various things. We got to network, but also I feel like I really finally understood the importance of social media in not only PR, but our own personal brands and our own personal goals. Because social media is just a way to market yourself and kind of show your capabilities and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like being active on any platform of your choice can be really beneficial in building your own brand and also showing companies that you know what you're talking about. So, yeah.
Which, by the way, is what makes PR so much, to me, better than what I originally was going into, which was zoology. Because, like, and I didn't really piece together that, like, what I wanted to do was public relations until I sat down with a academic advisor. And I was telling him, I was like, well, I know I want to, like, work on a behalf, like I want to work with a business and I want to like write up statements for a company or a corporation or whatever and kind of be on like that side of business.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh, so you want to do public relations? And I was like, oh, okay. So then he took me through like what public relations entailed, and then he told me about like, he started reading like the different classes I would have to take. and all the classes sounded very interesting. So that's pretty much when I decided to make the switch from, well, zoology, exploratory, to being like, okay, now I'm more interested in public relations. And each time I take like a different class, I'm getting more and more invested. So
Absolutely. I think we all have our own different version of Bloom's story about how we kind of ended up in public relations. Some people know straight off, and a lot of us don't. And that's okay, because it's hard to decide your career immediately out of high school and everything. So I was also undecided when I first came to SIU. I transferred from a community college in Rockford, and I didn't quite know what I wanted to do, but I think I wanted to do communications. At that point, I didn't even really know what public relations was until I had taken this, well, was it PR? No, intro to PR. And so once I finally took that, I was like, oh, this is super cool. I really like this, and this is the kind of stuff I want to be doing. Because I definitely like the different aspects PR has, such as like having journalism, like a little bit of advertising, a little bit of marketing, but it's not quite any of those things.
yeah,
It's all those things wrapped up into one. It's graphic design, it's journalism, it's marketing, it's advertising, it's media relations, it's event planning, it's everything, like literally everything, photography, like videography.
philosophy,
It is
psychology.
it's psychology, it's sociology, it's literally everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool, because not only are we specialization in PR, we are specialization in everything.
Yes.
Specialization in PR doesn't mean PR. It means we can do everything. Jack of all trades,
Literally.
They really make sure that we're really well-rounded in all the
Yes.
classes we take, as well as we all have to have an additional minor with the major that we have as well. So I feel like all of us take those very seriously, and also make sure that whatever our minor is very much so complements our major. A lot of people do marketing or advertising. Like for me, I'm
journalism.
doing 2 majors. One is a language. So,
Yeah.
that really just adds into everything else in all of our skill sets. It just
Yes.
strengthens us even more.
Yeah.
And I was a sports administration major at first. Unfortunately, things just wasn't going the way I liked it, and I started to to lose interest in the major. And I received the email from somebody in the comm department, and they were just letting me know, like, telling me, just talking up the comm department. And the email was so good that I was like, hey, I'm going to like reach back out to them and try to like talk to them more and figure out more information about it. And forgot who I talked to, but he was just so nice to me, and he really steered me in the right direction. And I just felt like this was the place for me to be as a public relations major. And like Mary was saying, like, we're not limited to anything. Like, our options are really wide of what we could do after school. So that's one of the main reasons why I kind of went this route. And to piggyback what Mary said about Icon, my experience at Icon was great. I definitely, something that I felt like I could have done better before I went there was just working on more of my LinkedIn so I could sell myself more. Some of the people that I talked to, I felt like once they saw my profile, they didn't see much, and I felt like maybe that might have like sent them the wrong way or something like that. So definitely after that, I realized the importance of selling yourself to people and just talking yourself up, talking good and highly about yourself, and just knowing what you want to say at the right times could go a long way.
Definitely. I think sometimes trying to sell yourself can be the hardest part. We're so good in PR, we're so good at selling our company or our brand that we work for to everybody else, but then sometimes selling ourselves can be even harder.
Yeah.
And even though we're so good at doing it for others, it's hard to do it for ourselves because we're humble or whatever. So I think that being able to, like Steven said, make sure that either your social media, your resume, or your LinkedIn, that all properly reflects how much effort and work you put into things, as well as all the experience and why that makes you such a good and qualified person for the job, for the internship, whatever. Because like I said, even like with the social media aspect, LinkedIn is so important because they can see like your activity and your posts on there. They can see more of your engagement that might not be reflected as much on a resume, but they'll be able to see, your attendance of conferences or small events that you put on for PRSSA, or, that kind of stuff. Like even the movie night, that we're putting on Tuesday. that's going to go on my LinkedIn, like it's really important to, include all aspects of what you're doing and and stuff on your LinkedIn as well.
Thank you guys for bringing up the LinkedIn so much.
Oh, yeah.
LinkedIn, that poor thing, it's like I recently updated, revamped it. I put a picture up and everything.
Awesome.
And then I did like this amazing internship this summer. I have not updated anything of that. So that did just remind me that I need to get on the ball of updating that because my internship this summer involved me working with a group of creative youth from about the ages of like 16 to 24.
Oh, cool.
Making music, singing, dance, visual arts as well.
Awesome.
And all in the name of like promoting like peace in St. Louis. So
that's awesome.
But that type of PR, so it was kind of like I was more so taking a backseat and kind of like I got access to see like what they've done previously, what things have worked, and like some of their analytics and stuff. So that was kind of like a different experience because it was with a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
that's so cool.
Okay, so maybe I can get into like nonprofit PR.
Still talking about LinkedIn. We have Khalil sitting in the room here with us. Khalil Johnson. He's a junior here. He's also a PRSSA member as well as a communication studies major with a specialization in PR. He is our first ever diversity officer. He's been doing a really good job working with us, and he's helping out today. Even though he's not on the mic, he's still in the room. He's still present. But he was the first person who ever really hounded me to get LinkedIn. And I was looking at him like, man, what is the deal with LinkedIn? I just didn't see the importance. I didn't see the relevance. To me, it's like professional Facebook. I was like, okay, so, it's just like Facebook, but you talk about what you do for your career. I was like, okay, whatever. But finally I downloaded it, and I had gotten a few connections and stuff, and I was like, okay, like, let's kind of see what this is about. I was like, okay, this is neither here nor there, whatever. And then it wasn't until I really started meeting people professionally that I realized, okay, this is actually how everybody communicates. Because, you don't necessarily always want to just be handing out your phone number or your email because, those things are, that's your email, that's your phone number. You don't want people just contacting you willy-nilly. But LinkedIn is kind of that median between, professional work and then also like personal, and so like being able to connect and, communicate that way. So
LinkedIn more for the simple than just like giving out an email, because when you give your email out to people, they might lose it, forget it. Like they might go home that day and forget you exist. But if they pull up their LinkedIn and they add you right there, that is an action that has been created.
Absolutely.
And then LinkedIn publicly documents that you two are professionally connected in some way. So I think that's just overall like just a better archive and a better way to keep track of professional contacts.
And I also think LinkedIn is better than email just because on LinkedIn they could actually put a face to the name.
Yes.
Over email, I feel like some people might just forget, like Bloom mentioned, like just forget the name or might not even remember meeting you. And just having LinkedIn with the picture up there, they might remember the face to the name.
Yeah, I guess I need to get on this. I do not have a LinkedIn yet, but I will definitely get that soon once I have like more connections and stuff.
No worries. Like you don't have to have a certain amount of connections by any means, and that's what it's there for, is to make connections. And because you can see who you're connected with and who they're connected with, and then you can be like, oh, well, this would be a good connection for me to have too.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I went there with only 10 connections on LinkedIn. Like I currently now have 58.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because that's also what I used to think, like, before I actually got my LinkedIn started. Like, I had a friend, and she was just like, LinkedIn, like, you need to be, like, updating that and yada, yada, yada. And I was like, girl, what is the point? Like, I don't even know what I want to do right now. But then I realized that, like, no, you can just get the LinkedIn started and put, like, whatever job, like, you've worked up there. It doesn't, it doesn't have to just be, like, related to, like, the PR field.
Definitely.
And people will see, like, if I want to do nonprofit, I worked for the St. Louis Zoo, which is a nonprofit organization. So I've worked here already, and I've also worked with Story Stitchers. That was the name of my internship this summer. Two nonprofits, and they're looking for a person to do nonprofit work, then that might give you a leg up
Exactly.
in itself. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to change the topic a little bit. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask everybody, what do you think the most like practical everyday use that PR has for you in your life? It can be something super simple or it can be something complicated. Totally up to you. But what do you think is like the biggest role that PR plays in your daily life outside of school, outside of, work?
For me, I would say I am in a fraternity. I'm in Sigma Pi, and just being able to try to keep up the good reputation and just be able to try to live up to our creed, which is like what we say all the time, like our expectations. I feel like in that sense, PR has helped me because I've been better at just knowing when to say things, knowing when not to say things, and just if I need to keep my mouth closed, I could do that.
Absolutely. Do you think your involvement in PR has kind of rubbed up on any of your fellow fraternity brothers?
I definitely think so, in the sense as some people just might forget, like, we have a reputation to keep up there. Sometimes we'll just fall into, like, just wanting to have too much fun and actually forget that there is another side to the fraternity as well, and we're just not there to just have fun all the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, I follow like a lot of stuff that's happening with different businesses, like YouTube. I watch so many YouTube videos all the time about anything, and I am also someone who is like not big on brands, but I have brand loyalty, or like I have like the things I have opinions about, they're very strong opinions, and I realize a lot of that is because of their PR, what they put out publicly. Like, even when it comes to some like political commentators that I follow, if there's like a issue happening or there's like a controversy they were in, I will like go to their Twitter or go see, or like I want to know like how are they going to spin this? Like what is going to be their angle of choice? And that's just kind of like how my brain is just always working. I'm always like, okay, so I wonder like what they think about this, or like they made this statement that was controversial. Like, will they defend this? Like that's just how I engage with PR in my everyday life.
Definitely, yeah.
I feel like my answer is similar to Bloom's, like just like looking at all the brands and making sure that like the ones that I like use have a good reputation and everything. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because it is easy to build up that reputation, but it's even harder to be able to maintain it.
One of them has to do with how I communicate as a person. I'm very outgoing. I'm very approachable. I very much so will spark up a conversation with pretty much anybody. Yes. And so for me, part of that PR in my daily life, which has pretty much always been there, but is me, like my approachability, my outgoingness, and my willingness to just talk to anybody. You strike up a conversation because you never know who you're going to meet or, where a conversation might lead. You might make a friend. You might make a, network connection. You might, who knows who you're going to meet. And then I would say the other part of it is, although spin in PR can have a negative connotation, I feel like my ability to spin things in my daily life, whether it be for myself or for someone else, can be really beneficial and positive because, it's like you kind of think of things like glass half empty or glass half full. Yes. It's really just how you look at things. So, I'm not going to be a negative person and just pick out the worst and everything. I'm going to make things positive. I'm going to find a positive side of everything. And so being able to do that for myself and the people around me, I feel like is extremely beneficial to like not only our mental health, but also just like overall positivity and like morale. So I would say that's like my two biggest uses of PR in my life. Thank you everyone for listening to this episode of Salukis and PR. We're so glad to have you. A special thanks to my guests today, Hailey Eifert,
Bloom Williams, and Stephen Flowers for sharing your experiences with us. Shout out to SIU School of Communication Studies for always supporting PRSSA and for allowing us use of this podcast studio and equipment. Today's episode was edited by Kendra, Gregory, and Elizabeth Davis. Don't forget to check out our Instagram at PRSSA_SIU. Until next time.